Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Adjust my situation here a little bit. Here we go. Hello. Hi. Good evening. Hello, Neil S. Hello, Sid, Mike, and Frankie. Frankie's not here. She actually ended up going to youth group because I didn't think they had youth tonight still because they're still on break, but they did. They did. Let's trade paint. Hello, you beautiful people, and Happy New Year to all of you beautiful people. I love it. Richard Keaton, Happy New Year to all. Let's do this thing. That's right. B and J's Little Farm says hello. Cindy Brown's here. We're doing roll call. Auntie Ann is here. Hello, hello. We love us some Auntie Ann and some Cindy Brown. Bob Peterson, good evening from Phoenix. Hello, hello. Cindy Brown says, Sid, that color looks good on you. Well, thank you. I'm wearing my safeties off sweatshirt. I had kind of gotten behind on some laundry and stuff, and so I had kind of just shoved things like folded like in my closet, and so it had become kind of a disaster of sweatshirts and sweaters because it's that time of year. So I gutted it the other day, because my closet's in my office, and so I gutted everything and kind of cleaned a bunch of stuff out and found my sweatshirt, which I knew I had, but sometimes you pile stuff when you're folding it on a shelf, and I didn't realize it was there. Evelyn Newman, hello. David Moore says hello from Arizona. I got a couple zonies out here. Dot Roper, hello. Howdy, howdy, lonely hitchhiker Kent. Tree Haven, what's up, Jess? Jess Live. What's going on? Let's see. Manfred Elman says hi. Stephen Carlson says hi here. Lone Cowboy Adventures. Hello, hello. Alan Hutchinson, hello from Clarksville, Tennessee. My dad was actually born in Clarksville. Funny story there. It's not really a funny story. It's just not many people even have heard of Clarksville, except for Monkees fans, I guess. Jennifer Broughton is in the house. Hey, what's going on? Let's see. Treasure Hunter Neil says hello, and hello everyone else. The Pharmacy says hello everyone. Hello, hello. Thank you. Cindy Brown's dropping the merch link there. I actually added some new zip up hoodies this week to the bonfire link. So fun stuff. I spent a few minutes futzing around with that the other day. Southern Blessed Homestead, our neighbors to the south. Hello. What's going on? What is going on? Larry Parrish. Hello. Hello, everyone from New Albany. Hello, David Owen, James Hall. Hey, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I feel like it's going to be a small live tonight because I know that CRC is doing their premiere tonight at 6 o'clock. So I know some of our regulars were torn because they want to be at the premiere and they usually are in our lives. So I get it. I get it. It happens sometimes, It's hard to keep track of everybody's lives, and when you want to post a video when you're doing a premiere, sometimes that gets a little tricky. So I get it. It happens. But and then right after their premiere and our live, they're of course Simple Life Reclaimed is going live at 7. So good stuff. I'm not sure if Mike's going to be joining me or not. I heard what sounded like a bit of a train wreck that he had to take care of tonight, so he may not be popping out here. We'll see. Perhaps he will, perhaps he won't. We don't know. That's right. David Morris says, come on, people, hit that like button. That's right. Don't be a bum. Hit that thumb. That's what we got to do. Dana Mason, hey, Sid, hope you're having a blessed day and had a blessed Christmas and New Year. Yes, thank you. I hope you guys did as well. It's been a little hectic around here, but getting it done. We're actually going to be going on Friday. I talked about this a little bit on Sippin' and Spillin' this last week, but we're going to be going to Memphis on Friday. One of our friends, Beth and her daughter and Frankie, they want to get their ear pierced, and I'm getting a piercing, and so we're going up there because you can't do it here. It's a whole thing. But anyway, you can only do it at like Claire's and not a place that actually focuses on piercings. But we're gonna go to the Bass Pro Shop because Frankie's been driving me crazy wanting to go up there. So we're gonna skedaddle up there and do that. Check that off our list of things. So that'll be our last yeehaw for the break here. How do you do, friends? Driving using speech to text, listening. Cassie comments. Love you. Timmy from Ridge Life says that I think it is like a what do you call it? A little glitch there. I think you meant comment, but I know sometimes that voice to text. Somebody asked me something in text the other day, and I did voice to text because I was driving, and it changed what I said completely to something that didn't make sense, and they were like, "What?" Sorry. Is what it is. Don't know what to tell you. Lone Cowboy Adventures says, I want to make sure I heard her correctly. She said Clarksville, Texas, right? No. Well, I don't know if you're talking about somebody else or you're talking about me. I said Clarksville, Tennessee. The person that had commented said they were saying hello from Clarksville, Tennessee. And I said that's where my dad was born. And he only lived there for like 6 months because his dad was in the military at the time and then they moved. So that's the story, Morning Glory. That's all I know. Don't know much else about it other than he was born there. He is on the phone. He has been slammed at work. He took a week of vacation, Tim, like the week leading up to Christmas, I think it was, and with the intentions of he was going to be able to hunt like a bunch. Well, then there was the ag project. We actually did a video on that last week, I think it was. Him and Frankie built basically this outdoor classroom setup. It's like tables and whatever, and they poured cement and dug holes and did all the things. And he spent like most of the week doing that, like every day. And then he's only gotten to go out hunting like one time since then. He did go out on Christmas with our neighbor, but they actually ended up not hunting and they ended up like being right in the middle of a bunch of does that were like walking up to them. So he got a bunch of cool footage that I'm going to use in a video. But they decided not to fire any shots that day, which I think he maybe kind of kicks himself for now because he hasn't had a chance to go out hunting. And so I know he's really wanting to get some venison in the freezer. So that's the thing. You can't, it's like, you can't win the lottery if you don't play. He's got to get out there and do the dang thing, right? So Evelyn Newman, hello. Josh, hello. Sherman Family Farms, what's going on? Oh, sometimes this thing moves fast and I can't keep up. It's hard sometimes when you're by yourself, I know. Glenn and Shannon, Salty Life, hello. I feel like I missed. Oh, hello, Christine from Gillum Farms. Hello. It always takes me major. Oh, I bet it took some major restraint not to shoot. Yeah, he was just like leaned up against a tree. He got some amazing footage of these deer just kind of like walking almost up to them. They were probably like from me to like, well, you guys maybe don't know where the kitchen is, but the kitchen's right there. So like from me to the kitchen, they got to him like, maybe 30 feet away, like just super close. So it was kind of neat. He was like, that was like really like sneaking up on him and just being in their midst and then like not knowing. It was pretty cool. So, and they were in a kind of like an area where it's really heavily wooded. So they really had to like sneak in there and be super quiet and not, not be too loud and all of that. So, you know, one of those things. Shiloh Acres, hello, hello. Paul Walker, hello. What is going on? Hello, Sid and everyone, hello. So, guys, I need some brainstorming tonight because I know that Mike has some ideas, um, and I talked about this a little bit on Sipping and Spilling the other day too. Um, so we have a twofold situation basically, and one needs an immediate solve, and one needs a later term solve. So I'll give you the immediate one first. So I've got my first batch of meat chickens of Cornish cross coming the end of this month. Okay. Which it could be, into the beginning of February, because it's like, I think it's like January 29th is the hatch, week, and then they ship out. And so it could sometime in that week, I'll get those birds. Um, and if you recall, our original design on the chicken coop is half of it is a brooder and a feed storage room, which is unfinished. And the other half is like the coop, right? And then we have a chicken tractor and stuff. We do need to build a second chicken tractor to get these chickens cycled through properly. But we have time to build the chicken tractor. We'll have another month after we do this initial solve, and the chicken tractor can really be built in an afternoon. It's a pretty easy. I mean, it still requires work and materials, but it's not like 6 weeks of construction, right? Okay. So the problem is that we ran into some issues with getting power out to the coop. We had talked about running power from the shop. The shop's power is like super weak. And now I am not an electrician, guys, so don't like, but it's like super weak panel ampage, whatever, right? So like if you're running, like because we have one freezer in there, if the freezer, which is always plugged in there, and the light is on, and you go to run like the table saw, the whole thing goes right. So it can't support a lot of power. Okay. So while the hot plates wouldn't draw a lot for the chickens, and worst case scenario, yes, we could run an extension cord into the shop. It's just not ideal, right? So yeah, 20 amp panel. It's like a very small, sad amp. Sad amp. And he did buy another panel ampy thing to doctor the shop up. He just hasn't done that yet. And so, certain things like that, sometimes it's hard for him to get to. Like, he hasn't even been able to go out hunting because he's been kind of slammed at work. He's still at work right now as we're in this live. So it's been just a little hard for him to get certain things like that done. But anyway, that being said, we had some battery powered generators that we were going to use for that, and that was going to be our solve, and we were super excited about it. Unfortunately, we've run into some issues with those, and we're kind of working with the company to see if that can be fixed, but I don't know how long that will take. And so the solve now is he's going to build the immediate solve, because I can't have the birds show up and not have something set up, right? I just can't. Keeping in mind that the brooder and coop side of the brooder and feed room side of the coop is not finished. Okay. So the plan is to then, hi, MT Homestead. They are powerful enough to run the warming plates. Those warming plates are actually super energy efficient. They draw way less. Again, I don't remember what the draw on stuff is. I don't know those things. But they are plenty powerful enough for that. We're just having problems getting them to work properly. And we don't know if we don't know what's happening yet. So I don't want to say anything good or bad yet about that, because we're still trying to figure it out. But as of right now, it's not an option. So, trying to figure that out. I do have another like battery generator coming um, here soon, but I don't know if it'll be here in time. I don't know if it will work correctly for what we need. A host of issues. So Mike's temporary solve is going to be to build um, a brooder piece that's going to then be inserted into the brooder side of the coop. So basically, the structure he was going to build, he's going to build it a little bit differently and build it to go into the garage that's attached to the house instead of the shop, because I can run power there, no problem. Um, so that's the temporary solve. Worst case scenario, if he doesn't get a chance to do that, then my other option is to go back to getting 2 more stock tanks and just doing them in stock tanks again. I don't like having to do that. It works in a pinch. It's great for that, but like long term, I don't like brooding them in stock tanks. It's a pain in the butt. It's really hard to keep everything clean and happy, and I just do not enjoy. Okay. So especially in the garage, because there's dander and whatever, I really prefer to brood outside. Um, it's just mo better. That's how we did it, except for the first season. We always brewed it outside at the old place. So we had a little brooder that we built onto the side of the coop and ran power from this little barn, we called it, but it was more of like a shed um, that we could run the power out to from there. So he's going to build something like that that we can just insert when we're done or in between birds into the coop side, presumably while we've during that interim gotten the power situation settled up. We don't want to have to trench through the yard to the coop to run the power or run the, like, especially if we don't have we got to get that panel done first. Like it's just right. Um, so, is what it is. Um, so that being said, I think I'm hoping there's maybe somebody has an idea. I've also seen those brooders that like have those brooders that are like the commercial brooders that basically have the airflow and the heat system kind of built in, and then you have like the growing racks for them, kind of like a quail pen, but with the heating elements in it. So I'm not sure. Like maybe you guys have a better idea or another way to like problem solve that or something. Empty Homestead says they put them in a plastic tubs in the house and warming plates for the first 2 weeks or so. We have a brooder in our shop that we move them to our shops with the heat lamps on them. Yeah. So, but the first week or two is not bad, right? Um, it's when you get into week 3 and 4, especially with the meat birds, where it's like the dander and the poop and the smell and the, you know, but when they're babies, you got to keep them, corralled. So, I'm just not excited about having to do them in the garage again, but we have to at this point, unless there's like a late Christmas miracle. That's going to have to be the plan. So, not super excited about that. Like I said, if I have to do stock tanks, I will. It's not the end of the world to um, have to get a couple more stock tanks and do them in those, because those they're not something that's going to go bad. There's something I will use for other livestock down the road. I'm not worried about like, oh, if I have to buy more stock tanks, what am I going to do with them? Like I'll use them. But it's just one of those things of like, I really was looking forward to brooding them outside and having that settled up, and it's just not going to be. It is what it is. Said if the brooder is going to be long-term use, I would use PVC board for the bottom of the brooder. Built mine that way and is way easy to clean. Okay, that's not a bad idea. Um, the power is part of the problem to old people on a couch. Do you have to? The shop is not powerful enough. Auntie Anne said she thinks, remembering Mike saying it was like a 20 amp. And he did buy another panel to put out there. In general, because we need it out there. And number two, because when we have Freedom Weekend out here, it would be nice to have the ability to have more power over there, you know? So he did buy some snazzy panel a while back, but he hasn't gone in there and done the electrical work uh, on it. So, you know, I would just run a really thick weatherproof extension cord from the house to the coop. Yeah, that is an option. And we kind of had did that before. In California, the weather here is a lot more extreme wet wise. Um, I would just worry that like that cord, I just had issues with stuff like that before. I'd be worried that the cord would fail in this kind of weather that we tend to get out here, even with those outdoor rated extension cords and all that. I don't know, man. I'm just paranoid because all it takes is one night for it to go out and you wake up to all your birds dead. Um, and the fact that right now there's no brooder out there. So it has not been built yet. So we do need to get that built. And truly I would like to be able to say like get that whole coop finished and that side done so that we can just like say this is done. This project is done. We don't have to mess with it anymore. So my plan this year is to start them in the greenhouse. I've seen other people doing that, like, um, and I would feel like that would work really well. Again, I mean, depending on your climate there, you'd still have to be, running hot plates or something, but definitely doable. Um, MT Homestead says, "Hi everyone in chat on my phone, so can't put the tags." So, um, is there any electric where the tractor is kept? So the tractor is under the overhang of the shop. So that shop, like I said, if you have like the freezer is always plugged in there, because we have our big stand-up freezer out there. And if you go to run like any plugged in, like the table saw or anything like that, the lights dim. Like you can tell it's struggling. Like it's drawing too much. So there is electric there, but that's why he needs to get the other panel, David, because put in there because it's sad. It's sad. Need to know what gauge wire is run out to the shop to see what you can upgrade to. So here's the other thing, Neil. And again, I thought Mike was going to be here next to me for this part. So I'm not up on all that. I'll say it in the terms that I understood as somebody who doesn't understand those things or is not, I shouldn't say I don't understand them. I'm not knowledgeable enough about them. Um, the what it would take to change the wire from the house and like rewire that was going to be like a no-go. And so that's why he was going with adding an additional panel in the shop. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what was my understanding of it. So you can actually borrow a subsoiler from a neighbor, glue up your conduit, attach it to the subsoiler, and make it run. The conduit will be buried, and then you run your wire through it. So there was a couple reasons why he didn't want to do it under the house and trench. And I think when he crunched the numbers, it was just going to be a little costly. So I don't know. White Rock Homestead, need more power, Captain. I can't do it. I know. That's the bummer. I'm like, if I could just have all the chickens sleep in bed with me and keep them warm, I would, but eventually they would start to smell. And then, they're not very good at being housebroken. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know why the previous owners would have only put a 20 amp panel for the shop. I don't know. I know from what we gathered, the shop was previous to the owners that we bought it from. And that's when that was built. So that would have been in like the 70s. So maybe at the time that was like the best they could do out there. I don't know. So hard to say, but because I don't know about that sort of thing. But there are a lot of wires going everywhere outside, and I feel like it's excessive. And then we have that light pole right there. which is great for light out there in the evening, but it's just like another obstacle when you're pulling vehicles around it, you know. But it's one of those, it's like it works and everything and it's helpful, but you know. So yeah, I don't know why, because you'd think my best guess is that they weren't like big builders. I know that like the people that we bought this house from, he had like an old truck and stuff that he would tinker with in there. So he wasn't really using a lot of like power tools in there. And so, and they weren't hunters, so they didn't like have extra freezers and all, you know. So that's the only thing I can think of, is that it just was never really an issue for them. And so, you know, but us, we're like, we need 47 freezers and we need a, you know. So that's the only thing I can think of. But you never know. If it's in the budget, just go ahead and upgrade the shop. You're going to be using it for many years. Yes, Richard, you know, there's unfortunately not an endless supply of, you know, money. I wish there was. But like I said, he did get that panel, so he is going to be upgrading it in that sense, but it's not the way, and I don't know how just adding a panel really fixes anything. I don't really understand how that works, but he's got it worked out. So he did spend the money, whatever that was. I have no idea for the panel, but from what I understand, that was the cheapest option to solve. And then like you'd be able to plug in a like a RV into it if you wanted to at that point. Like it would power all those things. So, you know, my husband's shop is ran from our house meter. It has its own electric panel. Yeah. And there was something about, you know, if you added a separate meter, it was actually going to end up costing way more. It was like a whole thing, because he looked into every different way of doing it. Do we trench a line? Do we do this? Do we whatever? Anyway, the adding the panel seemed to be the best deal for that. So, did Mike and Frankie ever get a chance to go deer hunting again? Says Ridge Life. No, they have not. Mike has been working really, in fact, on Saturday, he works like 12 hours, which I think I told you, just catching up from when he was on vacation, helping with the kids' ag program at school. So unfortunately, he has not been able to go hunting, and neither has Frankie. And so I'm thinking maybe tomorrow that they might get a chance to, but I thought that every day, and then he ended up working late. So I don't know. I mean, she could go out by herself and do it. I think she doesn't want to just yet, but she could. Um, so we'll see what she ends up doing. But, you know. Oh, I know. They don't, your Siri doesn't speak redneck. I know it, Tim. I know it. And James Hall says there's Tim the aggravator. Oh no. When I moved in here, I had a one light bulb, two plugs, and two well pumps added. So much so I had to go to the higher amp fuse and had to run 10-3 wire, says David Blunt. Yeah, I remember in our first house, if you had the TV on and you used the microwave, everything would turn off. And so it took us a while to figure out what the problem was, because it was only part of the house, not everything would go out. Part of the house that wasn't, it was weird. It was something that made us think that that wasn't the problem. So it took us a while to narrow it down. And it also had to be, let's see, I feel like it had to be watching a DVD on the TV and using the microwave, because it wasn't just the TV and the microwave. So it had to be that trifecta, because it was all on the same breaker or whatever. And so they actually, our friend who was an electrician actually came over and added another amp thingy and made it happy, so it didn't do that anymore. That's all I know. So it's not our first foray with having you know, that kind of issue. We haven't run into that here ever, but I mean, that panel seems to be pretty good for the house. but it's just the shop that's cranky, I guess. Right, that's why we tied into our house meter. Getting a separate meter was going to be too expensive. Your Mike, yeah, did it himself, and he's trained to do that stuff. Yeah, that's so plumbing and certain electrical things Mike is not super comfortable with. Like, he knows how to do a lot of it, but it's one of those things he's like, yeah, I can do it if I have to, but I'm not as comfortable. I don't feel like I'm as knowledgeable as I could be to do all these things by myself. So he usually will enlist the help of a friend who's an electrician, or the help of a friend who's a plumber, or he'll hire somebody if he has to like, work with him on it or whatever. Just because it's just not his, it's just not the thing that he's as good at. Like, he's really good at building stuff and he's good at growing things, but that part of it, and butchering stuff, but that part of it is not, he's just not as comfortable with it. He doesn't feel like he has enough, I guess, experience with it or knowledge of it to like really bang it out himself, so it is what it is. It's wired from the house. There is a wire that goes from the house that's like, I don't know, it's probably like that big around or so, that goes from the house to the shop. It does not have its own meter. I do know that. It's on the same meter as the house. So that's how most garage pole barns are ran. Very rarely do they have their own meters unless someone uses it for business, the Shiloh Acres. Yeah. But funny fact, we had asked one of our friends about it, and he was like, apparently, and I don't know if this is true across the board everywhere, but I guess if it's your shop meter, they'll actually run it at a higher rate. So you basically pay more for the same electricity, even if it's not like listed as a business or whatever. It's just the separate meter. If it's going to a shop, they classify it differently. So I think that's why people do that. Sounds like upgrading the panel will fix the problem then. I hope so. My only concern now is our time crunch. I kind of think I'm going to end up having to buy a couple stock tanks and do that. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to finish building the brooder out. And at that point, I may have to be like, now I need you to switch gears. I need you to build me another chicken tractor, because I'm going to need 2 this season because we're doing more chickens. So then my problem becomes trying to get him to kind of catch up with that so we can get those things finished, because then I have turkey poults coming. So gotta stay on top of it, gotta stay on top of it. But we'll get it done. We'll get it done. If the wire from the house is not large enough, adding a different panel isn't going to work. I'm pretty sure it's large enough. It's a big honking wire. And I know that he talked to a neighbor friend of ours who does have knowledge in that area. And he was like, yes, that will work. So that part of it, I guess, isn't the problem. Like, the supply of the power isn't the problem. It's the supply on the panel, how it's being utilized, I guess, is the problem. Like, what it's able to draw, I think. Does that make sense? I think I'm saying this right. Again, not my area of super knowledgeable stuff. So, extra stock tanks is never a bad thing when it comes to chicks, when the chicks are finished with them. Exactly. That's what I say, Auntie Ann. Because eventually, hopefully in this next year, we'll have the sheep started. So we're going to be, we would need extra stock tanks at that point. So it's not like, like I said, they don't go bad. Worst case, you can plant some stuff in them. If, we did that with our old metal one that we had in California. We turned it into a garden bed because it rusted through on one side, and we had brooded birds in it a couple of times. And then we converted it into part of the garden, and that worked too. So, it works, Sounds like it's time for Sid to get a tool belt. You got that working with Mike in no time. I know. See, the problem is, I wouldn't have a problem doing that. But between, I guess, my regular household responsibilities and taking care of the animals, it's really hard sometimes for me to then also go and build stuff with them. And also, fun fact, Mike and I don't work well together in that capacity. When he is knowledgeable about something and I am not, I don't speak his language. And so we don't do well in those situations. So we have kind of learned that like I film those things and I do the painting afterwards. And I don't actually physically try to work on a project with him because it just he'll sometimes he thinks I should know, like anticipate what needs to happen next, but I don't know what we're doing because it's your vision and it's your design and I'm a little clueless. And so we just don't like it doesn't happen well. So yeah. So I wait till it's my turn to come in and I paint or I do what, stain or whatever, and that's my contribution. But I do all of the other things. I kind of feel like that's his thing and now Frankie's thing now that she's on the payroll to kind of do. And I will film it and I will edit it and I will make a video out of it. And I will, cook the meals and manage the household and take care of all the animals and process them when it's time. But, there's only so much a girl can do, I feel like. You know what I mean? There's no living quarters in the shop. Nope. And it's cold out there this time of year. Yeah, I don't even like doing that. I'll do it, but I don't like it, says James Hall. Yeah, I got that. Get that pan built for an emu. I do want one. I do want an emu. If the wire is large enough, swapping the panel is pretty easy. Yeah, it's just a matter of like, I think him going, today's the day, and like doing it. So it just hasn't happened yet. Needs more breakers. Needs more oomph. That's true. Shiloh Acre says, yeah, they do. So that's why, unless it's a business where it's worth writing off the bill, most people don't bother with a separate meter. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Time to start a garage band. Tell Mike to get a plumber, drummer, and electrician bass player to keep on rocking. That's right. That is right. 100%. We do have some neighbors that have some skills though, so that's helpful. It is. Oh, Lindsay must be in the house. I missed it. Hi, Lindsay. Hello, Marco Torres says Happy New Year to Lindsay, by the way. We know the deal, Sid. Homemaker and contractor is hard to do at the same time. You're doing great. Thank you. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's hard because you're and I know that there's other channels out there that are building things and the couples are doing it together and they're also still living their lives and doing all of that. But Mike still has a full-time job. I'm still a full-time YouTuber and homemaker, and so there's a lot, plus the animal side of the farm I take care of. So there's just kind of, it's like the one area that I'm like, I really can't put much energy into that. I will tell you what I need built. You will build it. I will paint it. Just like he'll say, like, I want to raise this, which he doesn't really, because I'm usually the one that's like, I want to raise whatever. But he'll ask me, like, what vegetables he should grow or, whatever, because it's going to be whatever I'm going to cook. He's like, what do you want to cook with? What do you need? And I'll be like, I want you to grow this and this and this, and don't grow that again because I don't like it. And grow, So that's how we roll, Neil S. said, it's just a shame you lived so far from me. I have done construction my whole life. Aw. I know it. Mike's worked, building and not physically in construction, but he's worked in those kinds of jobs, I guess you could say. And so he's really good at building stuff. Like I said, it's just and he's still really knowledgeable about, I think it's more so he doesn't trust himself as much with the electric aspect and the plumbing aspect. He doesn't enjoy plumbing. It frustrates him. I know that. Because plumbing is frustrating. I'll give him that because I've done some things and I'm like, this is for the birds. Like, this is just not bueno. So I get it. you know. Uh, oh, you meant there aren't any living quarters in yours. I was following up on my previous comment. We pay an extra 50 for a meter on our shop because the previous owner claimed it had a living space. Oh, that's a bummer, MT. That's no bueno. And you can't really undo it once it's done, you know. Eh. Oh, somebody must have been giving Tim some grief about the Dozer video because Shiloh Acres says, I have faith in Tim. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither are homesteads. That's true. Everything takes time. And I know, when we watch YouTube videos, I'm guilty of doing the same thing when I watch somebody's channel and I'm like, why don't they have that done yet? Like, I feel like they did this and that, because you're watching it like you're watching a TV show and you're forgetting, like, it's somebody's life and they're still having to go to the grocery store and cook dinner and raise their food and, you know, run their kid to soccer and, all the things still are happening while they're also trying to build whatever it is they're trying to build. So it's tricky sometimes to incorporate everything all at once. Yeah, I've never met anyone who cleaned. I did. That's not true. I met two plumbers that when we lived in Ramona that we actually had come work at the house. One actually ended up semi-retiring because he was getting up there. But he absolutely loved plumbing. Like he was a plumbing nerd. He could tell you all the stuff and he gave you all the little like how to fix this and do that. Like he was pretty cool. And then we had another guy that came um, when we were working on one of the tubs, and he seemed to really enjoy being a plumber. Which usually plumbers are like a little gruff, grumpy, not into it, showing you their crack. But this guy, no, he was like really all about it. It was one of those things. So I don't know. Mike doesn't want curly hair, so he stays away from the electric. He actually has curly hair. I actually gave him a haircut last week, I think it was. And I'm always surprised because I don't realize how curly his hair is until I cut it again. And then I see all these little curls. That's where Frankie gets her curly hair from. It's not from me. I mean, I get wavy hair and I can like emphasize it, but I don't have like curly hair like she does. So she definitely got that from her daddy, not from me. Bum, bum, bum. Out and about with Dave and Daisy. Hello, everybody. Seems Mike makes more accommodations while working with Frankie. Maybe. I would see. It's probably easier to get frustrated with your wife than your kid. When your kid doesn't understand something, you're like, "Oh, it's my kid. I'm teaching them." But when I, as an adult woman, don't know what he needs or wants, then it's just frustrating to him, probably. you know. So when he can't read my mind, I get frustrated with him too. So I guess it's only fair. You mean YouTubers don't just live Hollywood lives? Everyone else does everything for them, right? Exactly. Like they just do the front of the build and then like they have a team come in and do the rest of it overnight and it's just done. That's exactly what happens, Tara. I swear. It's 100%. Although I guess it could be Jason. I have no idea which one of you's typing. Or maybe you're sitting next to each other. I have no idea. I love you, Sid from Tara. I feel you on the domestics and the homestead stuff, and I don't have any kids in school anymore. You're doing an amazing job. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's hard, nobody sees, like, I mean, we obviously when you have a YouTube channel, you're letting people into your lives, right? Like we tell you guys what's going on and we tell you what our plans are and we show you what we're working on. And you see some of like obviously when we have struggles or whatever, but you don't see when it's like, oh, I have to scrub the toilets now. And I have to like make dinner and I've got to run here and I got to take her to the doctor and then I got to come back and I got to, whatever. Like those things are not exciting in the YouTube world unless you're a Kardashian, I guess. So, but they have people that do that stuff for them now. So I guess, that's what we're missing. My dog is just totally passed out next to me. Eyes rolled back in her head. You guys got to see this. Let me see if I can do this without waking her up. Can you see her eye roll back in her head? That's how she sleeps. I always laugh that she looks like she's possessed when she sleeps because her eyes will legit just roll back. She cracks me up. They are too funny. Yeah, I couldn't do YouTube myself. Too much moving everything, trying to get the right shots. When I get started, I don't want to stop or be bothered by that. Yeah. Well, there's times where I'm like, shoot, we should film this, but I don't have time to film it. We just need to get this done. Like, and that happens a lot where I'm like, oh, we should film that. Or, oh man, I wish we would have filmed that. But I'm like, but we just needed to get it done. Like, we didn't have time to try, and then if you just stick it on a tripod and film, it's like it's flat. It's not, you really have to think about like, even if it's like a how-to kind of video, you got to think about like showing the different angles and like doing all the things. There's Lindsay. Hi, Into the Mess. What is going on? Bunko is on the front porch right now, probably. He's outdoor kitty. He's outside. He is outside. Filming does make every project take way longer. Way longer. Although I will say this, I have gotten better about being more efficient in my filming. Um, and like if it's especially if it's a video that I have like complete ownership over, where we're doing something but I'm like orchestrating the filming, versus like if Mike is saying, hey, I need you to film this because this is what I'm gonna do. I don't know what's coming next, so sometimes I have more stuff to kind of muddle through later and I don't know what shot I need. But if I'm able to kind of plan it out and I know that this is what I'm going to do, I'll like say, like while I'm filming, I'll be like, okay, hold still. And then I'll switch to like, time lapse mode, and I'll be like, okay, now go. And then, it'll pick up so it looks like it's just seamless, and I try to do like, different shots like that or whatever. And that way it makes my editing process go a lot faster. And I'm sure all of us have like leave notes when we're editing on film saying like, um, this is B-roll, or I'm going to clip this in before this piece now, or whatever. Like I'll leave myself notes on my footage sometimes, so I know like where I want something, because sometimes you picture it in the moment, but then later it's hard to go back and remember like what you were thinking. So you're above comment. Oh, I must have missed it. You're above comment. You just said, hi, Lindsay. Hi, Mike. I don't know. Just get a body cam so you can turn it on anytime you need to record. I know, right? They have those little harnesses for the GoPros and stuff. And have you seen those cameras that you can like put on your cat's collar? I'm so tempted to get one of those for Bunko and like film. Because like today, I was in the restroom upstairs. I had just gotten out of the shower and I had sent Frankie out there to mess with Beulah. The hose was frozen this morning. So I was like, hey, go out there later, rake up some of her hay, because she had kind of made a mess of her hay bale. And I was like, can I rake it all into a pile so we can kind of see visually like what's there, because I know she's getting low, but she still has some. We don't need to bring another hay bale out just yet. And she's been standing there eating around it. And as it spreads out, she's, pooping as she eats. So there's like a ring of poop around this hay bale. And I was like, fling some of that away, shovel in the good hay, and like get an idea of it, and like, go mess with your horse. Well, Bunko sees her out there and gets really, comes running up to her with a mouse and like flings it at her. And so I'm watching this whole thing and the horse is like, what? And Beulah's like looking at her like, what is going on? And then he proceeded to just play with the mouse for a while. And then Bunko came over to her and wanted to be picked up. So she picked up Bunko. The mouse is still, half traumatized, running around in circles. And and again, none of this on film because I'm standing in the bathroom window looking down at him. And then she puts him back down, but kind of tosses him where the mouse was. And then he just went after it. And then she left to go turn the hose on and came back out or turn it off. And she's like, then he was just crunching on the last little bit of the mouse. So he eats good out there. That's for sure. You told your husband you need to buy stock and Post-it notes. Oh,
Come on, Sky.
Daddy's here now. Come on,
Sky.
Sky, bounce, baby. Come on. I know it. It's like I have to get up. She's like a 90-year-old woman. She's like, why do you make me get up?
Oh,
There we go.
sorry, I'm late.
Very late.
I still have to go back to work. I just found a spot to take a break before the live got open. It seems like in the last 45 minutes of my day, everything blew up.
Yeah. Neil Estes said your last sipping and spilling, Bunga was following you like a stalker. He does. When I go for a walkabout like that, he stays with me. He's the funniest cat.
What's up, Jen? Mike Birch, hello. Neil, Evelyn, James. See, that's why I show up late, because everybody says hi to me.
Well, they say hi to me when I get in here too. Good gravy. Good gravy. Hogs says hi, y'all. It's been a while. Drew's Lens reacts.
What's up, Drew?
What's up?
Into the mist. All right. All right.
Tasha Lynn, hello. Must be the premiere must be over now because people are popping in.
What were they premiering?
I don't remember what it was.
Was it
but
on
it was
Drew's Lens?
No. It was Country Road Cure was doing a premiere at 6.
Oh, I'll have to go check it out. I couldn't have been there for the premiere because I wasn't even able to make my own live.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I say hi to you every week when you come in late. Just saying.
Yes, Auntie Ann.
That's true.
And I appreciate it.
He's right here, Salty Dog. You must be behind. You must be in the delay, but he's here. Do. Yeah. Oh, good. Natasha Lynn says that the editing was good on their premiere. I'm assuming that's what she's referring to as the premiere.
Mike, you need to get a deer. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Every day. I mean, I've only deer hunted. I've not deer hunted
twice. I swear.
Well, maybe 4 times.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you running out the back door right before church because you spotted a deer counts as deer hunting.
Did you tell that story?
I don't know if I did. I think I said it. I think I talked about it on Sipping and Spilling.
I'll tell the story real quick. How much time we got?
You got time.
So
give the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah. So Sunday morning, I thought about going hunting before church. The bucks are in rut. Okay. But I didn't want to rush it and then wind up not making it to church. So I got got my church shirt on, my church boots, my pants. I'm ready to go. And I had just asked Sid.
He wears pants to church, isn't it?
I just asked Sid if she was ready to go because choir practice was going to be a few minutes early this week because we were not going to have choir practice after church. So I walk over to the front door and we've got this long, skinny window right beside the front door. And I just kind of glance out that window and I see movement and I'm like, what? So about 400 yards away, 3 deer jumping over the fence, coming across the road into the neighbor's pasture. And they're running south. And there's a ditch down there where I killed a deer last year off of that ditch. It's a little bit grown up and it's a good spot to run. Well, as I'm looking at these deer starting to run, it's 2 does and a buck. And I'm talking a mature buck. And I was like, holy cow. And I grabbed my rifle, which was 20 feet from me, and ran out the back door and sprinted. I'm running full speed down the hill. They're a couple hundred yards that way, but I know where I think they're headed. And it's a lot shorter distance for me to get there from where I'm at. So now I'm in a foot race with 3 deer. Yeah, that's what I just said. So I run down the hill and I realize I'm not going to beat them to the spot. And they haven't seen me yet. And the wind's blowing right in my face. So I stop and I get the rifle up and they're 200 yards away from me to the east, still galloping. And I managed to get the buck on glass, but there's no way I can take a shot. I mean, I'm breathing hard. It's an offhand standing shot. And so I say, okay, this is silly. Don't take the shot. So I start walking slow, as fast as I can walk down towards the culvert where I hope to get another shot. But when they got to the fence line coming through that field on that ditch, they turned dead south because they were going like south southwest. They turned dead south, and there's a heavy thicket of brush right there, and that's where they were headed. So something had jumped them and sent them out into that field. But yeah, that was. I guess I don't call that. That's not really classified as deer hunting. That's couldn't miss the opportunity to
At least try.
at least, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
my odds of getting a shot at that buck were slim, but
It was 0 if you didn't try.
it was 0 if I didn't try.
Yeah.
And there was a chance that he was going to follow that ditch line, and if he'd have followed that ditch line, I would have had a inside of 100-yard shot at him. And
David Blunt says Mike getting a deer this year is like Tim's doser video.
Yeah.
No, the odds of Mike getting a deer are a lot higher than Tim ever doing the doser video. Rough Holt says, have you seen your new puppy yet? Yes, but I don't know which one yet because they're still kind of deciding which ones that they want to keep. So there's like between 2, but I did meet them. I did get to meet all the puppies.
Yeah, I mean, I have had opportunities to get deer like that doe that I told the story, I think, last week's live.
So you're saying there's a chance. That's right.
That doe that almost climbed in my lap while I was hunting. I mean, I easily could have taken her, but I was holding off because the bucks are in rut, and I thought there might be a buck behind her. But yeah, I mean, when I'll get a deer soon. Yeah.
We've got we got deer summer sausage smoking right now and deer pastrami brining. If you're all in Arkansas, we'd share.
You know what? I've never made deer pastrami.
That's an interesting idea to do.
I mean, typically, what cut do you make the pastrami out of? Because there's not enough.
What cut you make?
There's not
regular
enough on the
pastrami,
brisket.
to be honest.
It would have to be like either the bottom round. I'm thinking the bottom round. The top round's too tough. Yeah, I'm curious. Tell me what you make your pastrami out of. Maybe I'll Google it.
Yeah. Cuddly Texas says, I miss deer summer sausage. That does sound good.
Yeah.
Drew's like, I'm in Arkansas.
Yeah, no doubt.
We'll be in Arkansas in May for the meetup.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Some
Tim
black
was
burger.
Tim was talking about on his rambling with Timifer the other day. They were talking about some of the things that they were doing, and they mentioned us because he's like, he's got to bring her out there to meet Morgan and at school and come by here and meet us and hang out and all that. So got to do that. 2 old people on a couch. When is the meetup? May. Hold on. Hold your pony horses.
All the big muscles.
The weekend of like the 18th of May. That weekend. So it's like the week before Memorial Day.
So somebody just responded 19 May. Oh, White Rock.
Yeah,
17
through 19. Yeah.
Yeah, they know for sure.
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, I knew it was that, but I'm like, I have it in my calendar weird. So I wasn't sure. I had on my note thing. So I couldn't remember if it was like, I know that the 18th was Saturday, but I couldn't remember if it started on Friday or not. Because I have it in there, but yeah. We already have our thing booked. So.
Where are we staying?
At your mama's. No, I'm just kidding. We're not staying at your mama's. No, we're staying where we stayed last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, 17th, 18th. So it's like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then everybody kind of bails. A lot of people bail Sunday morning. Some people stay longer. Just kind of depends.
When did we leave? Did we leave Sunday morning?
Well, we left, yeah, but then we went to the 41.36
Oh,
and
that's
to Come
right.
On Mountain. So we extended our trip out there
That's right.
because we went and hung out with them. 5-minute warning, says Auntie Ann. I know it. I know it. I'm telling
Cuddly
you.
texting got the camping spot next to Tim. Should I get a local spot, park a dozer in it?
There you go. Somebody needs to bring a cardboard cutout of a dozer to have Tim pose by or something.
You better be there, Drew.
Oh, I can't imagine Drew not showing up.
Yeah, that'd be wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he said he will be there. So, yeah.
Oh, you're next to Auntie Ann's next to Tim's space too. Tim's space is probably going to be the party spot. I'm speculating.
Right? Well, I guess we'll find out. We'll find out.
White Rock's got a spot reserved. Cuddly Texans in space 11. All right.
All these fancy people with their mobile homes.
I know.
We don't have the mobile home.
We don't have one of those fancy.
We don't have one of those. So
I'm not sleeping in a tent anymore.
Yeah.
Those days are over for me.
Yeah.
The last time I slept in a tent, it was in the Eastern Sierras at about 9,000 feet, and it was the most miserable night. And we had like 5 days to go. It was the most miserable night. So we wound up driving somewhere down to Mammoth, or I don't remember where, to find a blow-up mattress. There was no more sleeping on the ground.
Drew then says, "Wait, who invited Cuddly?"
Too long of a ride from South Florida. Come on, Neil.
Oh, it's not
You
that
can
far.
do it.
Not that far. It's like what, 6.5 hours or whatever for us.
Yeah.
To
Well,
get
it's
there.
probably 6.5 hours to the Florida line. But then if you're in South Florida,
Oh, that's kind of
that's another.
That's a minute. That's a minute. Yeah. It is. It is what it is though.
Yeah,
Only
I agree with the hammock thing.
Exactly. I would say if we had a camper, I would stay in a camper, but we're not staying on site, which is kind of a bummer because then I got to drive us, back to the cabin every night. But it's not far. At least it's not too far from the spot.
How far is the cabin from the spot?
It's not that far. I don't remember though.
I want to say it's like 10 minutes.
Maybe 15. But yeah, something like that. It's not too bad. But guys, it's time for us to go bye-bye. So don't forget.
I feel like I just got here.
Well, you relate to the party, sir. I don't know what to tell you. Don't forget, SLR is on at 7, coming up right now. And go send them some love. And then you got MT Homestead at 8 o'clock. So you got to go pester them, give them some love, right? You got to do all the things. And you got to go check out Brian at Vineyard Farmhouse, of course. You got to do all the things. So.
And when you bounce into Simple Life Proclaimed right here in 1 minute, Love Raid from 3 Mississippi.
There you go. All right, guys. Hope you have a blessed rest of your evening. And as always,
safety's off.
There you go.
And yes, Neil, I have to go back to work now.
Yes. I have to go get a child. How do I turn this off? I don't know.
Just start pushing buttons.
Hot mic.